Hi, everybody. Speed Force Spector, and I'm also with.
Oh, Matt Cat 83 from Geek What?
And this is kind of like a test run thingy of Fandom Is Magic, a new thing where we'll just talk about whatever news that came out this week. And then whatever happens from there. This is kind of a random test, and this week Fandom happened. So we decided, hey, why don't we talk about that?
Right on, yeah. Before we get started on that, what did you think about DC Fandom this year? Like overall.
Uh, overall, it was kind of like last year. They kind of they're getting used to it, but also not used to it at the same time. Uh, in my opinion, I like the setup for the kids fandom a lot better.
Hmm.
Bit messy because it's for kids and they can't really announce too much, but they have a little bit of a better formatting that's a little bit more entertaining. Not to say that the adult fandom isn't entertaining, but when you look on Twitter, it's like we're supposed to be celebrating all of DC, but I ain't celebrating the CW, so you got to deal with that. So it's nice, but it's you got to deal with some things. You're like, I don't really care about Batwoman news, so I'm gonna do something else. So it's cool, but they gotta fix some things to make it a little bit more interesting for things like you're not interested in or things you are interested in. They gotta jazz it up just a little bit.
Right on. Well, one thing I didn't like was they didn't put out a schedule because it was they busted it out
They
from
did
eight
that
hours.
last year.
What was that?
They did that last year.
Yeah, and I found it very annoying because I knew Batman would be last, like he'd be at the 4:30 marker and
Right.
everything. But I was like, hey, it's because some stuff in there, like you said, I wasn't interested in Batwoman when they did that whole Static Shock thing in the comic books and stuff. I was like, that's interesting, but I was like getting a snack, going to the bathroom because I was like, I don't care, like you guys, and they
Right.
didn't show because they didn't. The stuff like Batgirl, I'm interested in Batgirl, but they literally had nothing for us. Like the
Right.
actress was like, I'm excited. Well, of course you're excited. Yeah, I don't need you to tell me that. I know you're excited. Stop it. So it was like stuff like that. I'm just like, I wish I would have known it was going to happen so I could have planned out my day a little bit better.
Right.
Did you like the 4 hour stretch instead of the 8 hour stretch?
I got to be honest. I had no idea what time it was. I was just like, okay, whenever y'all end, cool.
Right on.
Plus, to be honest with you, I slept before they showed the Batman stuff, so I kind of dipped and I was like, I'll see the news later. So,
Right on. I feel you. I feel you. What was your favorite part about DC fandom?
I guess really just the Flash, to be honest, and more Shazam news.
Right on. Yeah, it was good stuff, I think.
Also, the news I'll talk about a little later, when we get to what we thought was interested in a more of a kind of a list type of thing. But the stuff at the kids fandom, pretty cool stuff. Even though it wasn't pretty big, it was still pretty nice.
Right on. Um, what was your least favorite part about DC fandom? Like as far as the announcements and stuff go.
The Injustice stuff that wasn't a video game news. I was like, man, I don't care about a movie you killed Barry Allen off of. I'm not tuning in. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, no. It's not good, by the way. So okay, well, why don't we dive into this? Like we'll get into the ones that we want to talk about. Before we do, though, I want to do mention because we had talked about it, but we're not going to talk about the Batman just because everybody else is talking about it, and you and I both feel that everything else kind of got a little bit swept under the rug just over the cloud of
Yeah, pretty
Batman.
much.
Yeah.
Like all the
So
stuff is cool about the Batman. I'm pretty hyped. We'll definitely tune into that whenever I can, and maybe buy Batman branded Mountain Dew. We'll see what happens.
right on. I do have to say though, my favorite part, before we get started, sorry, I didn't tell you my favorite part, my least favorite part. My least favorite part was all the stuff, like I mentioned, Batgirl and Blue Beetle. I'm interested in that stuff, but they had nothing for me there. I was like,
Oh yeah, speaking of that, I was interested with Batman or not Batman,
Blue
Blue
Beetle.
Beetle and Batgirl. I liked the news, but it was just kind of we're a crew. Here's
Yeah,
concept art that might not actually be the finalized thing when it comes
exactly.
down to the actual suit. Enjoy.
Yeah, I was the same way. And then yeah, I was just like, come on, you guys. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm all like, come on. But my favorite part actually is like so small and insignificant, and it kind of annoyed me a little bit, was Todd McFarlane announced all these toys and statues
Oh,
that
that
they're
was
doing.
cool.
Yeah, and they did Batman stuff. They didn't show the action figures. They ended up putting it on their Instagram later, which I'm going to buy them, but I was excited about that because I'm loving the McFarlane stuff, the action figures for the DC universe, and I collect them. So I loved that the statues that they showed, because I was like, oh, those are sweet. I wonder what the action figures are going to look like. And yeah, so I was that was the thing that I was most excited about. Oh, I mean, so yeah. All right. So you and I both did a video earlier, like a week ago or whatnot, on the
A week ago,
Flash.
yeah.
And we had we talked about theories and the look of some things and all that stuff. But before so then they did have a Flash panel, and the show they talked about, and I know you wanted to talk about, but they had the golden boots for the Flash. And what did you have to say? What did you think about that and what they said about that and everything?
Finally, he has the boots. I mean, they waited so long, but here it is, and it actually looks pretty nice with the current, or not the current, but the new suit we have for this season. So good job, team. Can't believe it took you all this long, but you did it. Congratulations.
Right on. I do like the boots, but they went on a long time about these boots. I was like, I was like, don't get me wrong. I'm glad you guys are doing the boots, but I don't care.
They had nothing to show for. So listen, I'll take y'all hyping up Barry Allen's fashion for a good hot minute if y'all don't have anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I was when they showed it, I was like, oh, those are cool and everything. But then it went on way too long. I was like, yeah, I got it. He's got gold boots. Tell me who the villain is. How about that? How about you guys tell me who the villain is?
So Grant, what did you think about hanging out with co-stars you've never hanged out before? Well, you see,
That's funny. So they didn't, besides the gold boots, they didn't have much to talk about there. So then they did show, they had they said that it was just a sneak peek, but I was like, this is a teaser trailer, you guys. Come on, stop saying sneak peek. It's a teaser trailer. Um
mm, I would agree, but I also would disagree at the same time because it just kind of feels like hodgepodge of different stuff they already recorded and kind of fancied up a bit. So I can't really call
Gotcha.
it an actual teaser trailer.
Well, so what did you think about their sneak peek?
I thought it was pretty neat. That's like kind of all I could really say because again, it was just a bunch of random scenes just thrown together and oh cool, look, it's Batman. Oh cool, Ezra Miller 2.0. And oh look, it's Supergirl. Neat.
Right
And that
on.
was it. So
Well, I
I
did
can't
go
I
ahead.
can't really go off of much because it's not an actual teaser, but I get why they showed what they showed just because this movie's been in production for so long and so much production hell. They're like, here, have something to nibble on, and I'm perfectly content with it.
Right on. Well, one thing I did like that they started off like atmospheric with the Wayne Manor. They showed that statue and then pulling them up in a taxi and everything to the gates. And then they showed when they walked inside, I was like, oh my God, and everything. And then Barry Allen turns on the little thingy. And I'm just assuming that he's turning on the Batcave, which I personally enjoyed. But I was wondering, is what he when he turned on that little thing, was that the Batcave from Earth One or this Earth, Batman 89 Earth, you
Yeah,
know?
same here.
And then when it showed the Flash inside that little thing with Supergirl and her arms are dangling, it reminded me when we were talking earlier about oh, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but when she was in that um because we talked about Flashpoint Superman and how she was going to get that storyline.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy seeing the Flash in his suit in that part.
Me too.
But the one thing that I really loved, there was two parts with the Flash suit that I really loved, was when he ran up to his mom's house.
Yeah, I
And
like
then
that
he's like,
too.
"Why did you pick this Earth?" And I'm all like, and then it shows him walking up to the house, and then you see her back and everything. And I was so hoping that she'd turn around and we could see who the actress was that was playing her, but they didn't because they know how to get us. And then we got to see um the Flash from this 89 Earth with Supergirl, and he was all being a little creepy in my opinion. He was like, I don't know, staring at her weird. And then I did like seeing, and the spray paint, when he spray paints the Flash
Yeah.
symbol on there. Did you think that was our Flash, Ezra Miller Flash, or did you think it was the other Earth Ezra Miller Flash? Because I got the sense that it was the other Earth Ezra, like he was trying to put his costume together.
Maybe they're making the costume together.
Maybe. I did like that they showed the Flash ring also.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And then that waterfall scene where the Flash was standing by the waterfall in the Batcave was like, I don't know, like I was like, oh my God, it's so cool.
I wasn't the same, but I was like, that's neat. But I think that's just mostly because when you see Batman, you've seen it all, but not all of it. But you're kind of so used to Batman, you're like, yeah, that's so Batman.
So right on. One thing I did want to ask you, and I don't know if you noticed in the trailer, was there's this part where the bat cowl is like sitting on the floor and there's blood by
I
it.
noticed that.
What do you think that is?
I have no idea. It could be anything, so I have no clue.
Well, a small piece of me was wondering if maybe it was like, I was thinking maybe it was either like a vision, or maybe it was Batman just took off his suit and was, getting ready to take a shower after a long night of crime fighting.
Could be both. They're going to have to change the rating if they're going to do that one.
And then there was another scene where there's like a hand, and then there's another hand like grabbing it. And I was like, I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
I don't. Again, as I said earlier, it's a hodgepodge of whatever they could come up with, so can't really make heavy theories.
Right on. The one thing I thought about that it could be is just after Supergirl gets let out of her little container, I thought maybe that was Barry, like the other Barry. Like,
That would be cute. I'd be down for that.
and I did like seeing all three of them in the Batcave, and Ezra Miller being all like, "You in?" and
Yeah, I
everything.
like that.
I thought that was cool. And then I wanted to ask you, so we had talked about in our video last week about how there was a video that had got released online, and both of us had seen it. And in the background, there was somebody that they had marked out with a spoiler alert sign on it. Do you remember that?
I do.
And we had theories like maybe it was Wonder Woman, maybe it's. Do you have any different theories on who it is now that we've seen this little hodgepodge?
Okay, so I thought about it because we saw the image, and I think I said this on my Twitter. And I kind of kicked myself in the foot when I was watching the video because I didn't say it. But it could probably be Hawk and Dove
Oh, gotcha. That'd be
because of the red
interesting.
and because of the red and white.
Right on. That'd be interesting. The only thing I could think of extra is I was like, it's probably just that other Flash, like just not in his suit. I was like, that's the only thing I can think of, because I was trying to think of other things, but I was like, maybe it's just that, and they just don't want to like give it away in that little video. But now that they've released the trailer, maybe they'll.
I don't think it's that. And
No,
the reason why I say that is because it has to be the red and white suit thing.
gotcha. Okay. Well, that's all I had for this one, but I'm excited for it. Is there anything else you
Yeah, me
wanted to
too.
say about the Flash movie panel?
Um, that's really it. I did think it was a little bit weird that they afterwards they were like, "Hey, here we're gonna highlight Black DC heroes," and it's like, yeah, kind of awkward. You didn't mention Cyborg in any of that. Okay,
Of course they did.
little sus DC, but in Warner Brothers, but okay.
Right on. One thing I did notice on Twitter is people that are like, if you can't be like you can't stand with Ray Fisher and be excited for the Flash movie. And I'm like, that's nonsense.
I personally disagree with that.
Me
Just
too.
mostly because like, nah, like I'm all for that man and calling out DC and Warner Brothers for, well, mostly WB. I don't know how much DC put their hand into all
Right.
of that situation. But like you could still call out WB and still be excited for something. And again, like I've said this in our last video, like I'm still very excited, but I'm still very wishy-washy on this
Mhm.
whole movie and even its concept, even if I'm still excited.
Right on. Yeah, I just every time I see that, I'm all like, get out of here with that nonsense. I'm with Ray Fisher, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be excited for this movie. Get out of here with that nonsense. Okay. What did you want to talk about next?
So this was on both of our lists, but you had to sacrifice one for, like, I guess a both conversation, but all of the cool Shazam stuff we got
Right on. So before, what did you overall think about what we saw at DC Fandom?
for Shazam.
Yes. Did it get you more pumped for this movie,
It
or?
Yeah, it got me more excited.
I agree.
Just we didn't see much. It was just
For
kind of
sure.
here's behind the scenes stuff.
Right
Um,
on.
and all of the concept art and the actual set photo stuff, they're definitely going a lot bigger than what they did in the first film, and that's great. I'm definitely curious about the runtime, considering how many locations and different type of monsters and creatures that are showing up. I'm definitely curious as to the runtime going on with this movie, but it looks pretty fun.
Yeah, right on. I did want to ask you about a couple of things with this one. First one I wanted to ask you was, because we haven't talked about this since they released the photo. What do you think about the new costumes? Because they talked about it. Zachary Levi talked about the new suits in this sneak peek. What do you think about the new suits compared to the old suits?
I like both of them. I will say the first suits are just a little bit better.
Okay.
And I think that's just, and I don't know if this is the matter of the suits are just kind of, they're made in a certain way to help the CGI help the suits more when it comes down to the final product. So I'm definitely curious as to where they're going to go with it. And especially with like like I know the suits are finalized, but you know how they make things fancy and everything. So I'm curious as to how finalized the suits are. But if those are what we're getting, they look pretty good.
Right on. Yeah, I think they look pretty good too. I think they did some upgrades like to Mary's costume that I like. I like her skirt now, but they took away Dar.
I feel like the girls have a lot more cool details than the guys do, which is fine. Because you kind of got to do more for them to make it look standoutish. So I'm all for it, but they could have done, just a little more fancy stuff for the guys too.
Yeah, for sure. Like Darla, she got rid of that. They got rid of that half skirt thing. And I was like, oh, I liked that about her costume. It was like, unique. And now she's just got pants. And I was like, oh, well, that's not as fun. But
I mean, it makes sense considering she's a speedster, so I get it.
right on. Okay, so now we talked about sets and everything, but one thing I noticed in this set was their lair. They really like kind of kitted it up by adding a bunch of lights and stuff all over the place. And
I'm curious as to where they got those because it feels like a whole bunch of DC references. Like the layer sign feels like something out of Joker's warehouse.
for sure. Well, I know in the comic books because I did read. I have it. I should have got it out for this, but Jeff Johns wrote Shazam, and he had he there's different realms and he goes to them all the time, and there's like a almost, some of them are almost like childlike, so maybe they got them from there, and that'd be kind of fun to see that whole situation.
Yeah,
um
I could see that because one thing I noticed with the first film is like there's so much they took from different versions of Shazam's and also Captain Marvel's lore. So I'm sure we're going to get a whole bunch of that in the sequel.
Right on. So with this, I wanted to talk to you about the villains a little bit. And well, I want to talk to you more than just the villains, but I want to talk to you about the villains and everything. So they said that they have two villains, and I think there's three, but I'll talk to you if you just give me 2 seconds. But we have Hespera, played by Helen Mirren, and Calypso, played by Lucy Liu. And they were like, we have these Greek goddesses and everything, and these are daughters of Atlas, and we kind of see that in some concept art a little bit later on in the behind the scenes look. But then we see some like past stuff. We see they have these like soldiers with almost like these like gorilla mask type things, these gold gorilla masks. I don't know if you noticed all of this, and if you did,
I did. It flashes by pretty quickly, but
right on. So, and chime in anytime when I'm mentioning this stuff because I'm always interested. But one thing I noticed was Lucy Liu. So I think all this stuff takes place in the past and everything, like because we see the wizard from the first movie.
Right. Yeah.
And we see Lucy Liu uncover the staff, the wizard's staff. And then we see all these other things from the past with Helen Mirren and then the wizard. And he's like giving, like she gets this black ball, but I think it's going to be CGI'd to something. And we just see him in like this, he's like, we see chains and stuff. So I'm thinking maybe they captured him or something like that. I'm not sure how they've all fit together. Well, I have a theory on how they all fit together. But then the third sister, I think, is Rachel Ziegler's character.
Yeah, I think so too.
They haven't named it, but if you look at some of the set photos, there's one photo in one shot in this thing where Calypso and Hespera is on the roof of where her and Freddie are sitting when she's all like, oh, so this is where your superhero friends come to hang out kind of thing. And then we see a shot later on with those two on the roof with her. And then if you notice later on,
I'm gonna stop you really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's also set photos that got leaked a while back ago with her next to those two. So
in like a 100%, golden.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in this one, there's one where she's like flying backwards in her golden armor. And then later on in the trailer, you see Freddie, and this, I keep saying trailer, in this behind the scenes thing, you see Freddie holding up like his little crutch thing, and she's wearing her little gold outfit thing. So it'll be interesting because I think she's like the sister that's all like, I don't want to be bad, you guys. I want to be good and everything.
Yeah, I could definitely see
and
that.
They're all like, listen, sister, no such thing. Okay. We're the daughters of Atlas. Okay. And one thing I think that connects them is, okay, so Shazam and the Shazam family get their power of strength from Atlas. I think it's the stamina of Atlas. Or they get their strength from Hercules. I'm sorry. So they get their stamina from Atlas. So I think that's how they kind of connect it because that's their dad. Maybe they're all like, hey, you have what's ours.
I can definitely see that being a conflict.
Right on. Another thing they did talk about, and you mentioned it, was the creatures they have in there. And we saw a Chimera, a Cyclops, a Harpy, and then we saw a dragon. And I'm pretty sure you noticed it, but there's one shot where Shazam is holding on to what looks like a dragon's tail.
Yeah.
And everything. So that'll be kind of cool to see that, them fighting all those.
I will say this. I'm curious if these are essentially the deadly sins, just the creatures this time around.
That'd be interesting.
I will say this, I'm kind of curious how they're going to use every single one that we were shown. So I'm like curious if whether or not these are just minions for the main two villains, or, what's going on with that? Because that seems like a pretty big plot point that seems like it would be for like, kind of like, I don't want to say the beginning, but definitely somewhere in the middle.
Right on. Okay, so then the next thing I want to talk to you about with this was the concept art of the sets where they're going to, and we did see they talked about the cave, their little the lair, and then they talked about the library, but then they said that they went to Greece or whatnot, and we kind of see some very Greek-esque kind of settings, and they did talk about how they went to the realm of the gods. and we see this like throne room where we see Atlas's statue, and then we see three people up on a stage with some thrones. And I thought that was interesting because one thing that I is in the DCEU is, and we saw it in Justice League, both the Snyder Cut and Justice League, was Zeus and Ares, and then we also saw Artemis. And I'm very curious to see if they try to connect those, because I've always thought that they should try to connect this, because I thought maybe they would connect Poseidon with Aquaman, so that way they could kind of connect the Greek gods with all these different superheroes. They haven't done that, but I'm interested.
They should take advantage of that, considering the fact that Shazam, technically, I don't, depending on who you are, really, with the ending of it, and Superman shows up, but there's like a whole bunch of DC references in Shazam from past movies and everything, that I feel like at this point Shazam can exist in its own bubble, and whenever they want to drag him out and put him in some sort of collab thingy with the other heroes, maybe not a Justice League, but they could pull him out of his little sandbox area and throw him in there. Like, I
I
don't think it
agree.
can be too hard to do, because Shazam is in such an interesting bubble right now that you could really do anything.
I agree. I agree with that. All right. What was the next thing that you wanted to talk about?
You could do the one that you had, because it connects to
Okay.
Shazam.
Right on. Okay. Well, then why don't we talk about Black Adam? Now, what did you, when it came to this movie overall, what did you think that it, like, what were your thoughts overall of what we saw?
I thought it was pretty cool. But the thing that I find funny is, like, with the trailers and everything, and they used it for the promotion for Black Adam, The Rock's like, this is gonna change the hierarchy of DC. When they showed the clip, all he did was choke a man and then turn him into dust and ash, electrocuting him. And I'm like, my dude, like, Shazam did so much crazier stuff for a PG-13 family movie. This isn't really changing the hierarchy, but you go, Bessie. You think they're changing it, so go right ahead. Like, it's not really changing the hierarchy. It's just kind of complimenting Shazam, which makes sense considering how they're tied together.
Right on. I agree. Okay. Well, I thought it looked, from what they showed us, I thought it looked pretty decent. I just need to see a little bit more for me to get like pumped for
Yeah,
it.
I don't, like, I feel like, I mean, it was nice that they showed it, but it would have been kind of cool if they explored the other heroes that are in the movie.
Right on. And I do want to
I
talk
feel
about
like that I
those.
feel like that's like the least thing that they've talked about. It's just more so, hey, you like the kiosk guy from Austin and Alley? Well, he's in this movie.
It's so funny. So right on. One thing we did get to see Conda Hack, which I feel like we've gotten to see. We saw some concept stuff and then maybe some stuff that's, the finished product. I couldn't tell if some of it was more modern day or if it was still, back in the old school days. I mean, the concept art was obviously back in the old days where we saw the concept art of him being whipped and everything.
Yeah.
And then we did see some, I think it was concept art. It might have been set photos of like a throne room. And it looked like there was a guard headed towards there. I couldn't really tell, it was a little grainy or whatnot. And then we did see some, what I think was concept art of him sitting on a throne in modern day Conda Hack, but it was because you see these modern buildings in the background, but yet there's still statues and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was very curious to wonder what's going on there. Speaking of the heroes, so they showed Hawkman, but they didn't show, they just showed their like emblems and stuff mostly. For Hawkman, I could have swore I saw a small clip somewhere of his wings coming out, but I couldn't find it. I tried so hard to find it because I didn't
I
save
think
it.
that was from the last Fandome, but I could be so wrong on that.
Right on. I'll have to go and see. I'm going to try my hardest to find it again. But I couldn't find it for this one. But so we got to, they got to talk to Hawkman, and then we got to see Cyclone, her emblem. And then there's one shot where if you look, she's in the background, but she's kind of blurry. And I think from this, she looks pretty good. I just wish we would have got to see more, like you said, of the other characters, like their powers and stuff like that, like Atom Smasher well, I mean, we
They
kind
brought
of
it up. They brought it up last fandom, but it would have been nice if they would have gave a refresher and again more detail about these characters, because it's just mostly, hey, look, the other character that's tied to the big blue cheese over there.
right on. Yeah.
Or red, I mean. I don't know why I said blue. I'm thinking of Freddy.
Right on. It's really cool. One thing I did want to talk about, and I don't know if you noticed it in this behind the scenes thing, was when there's like a kid and he's wearing a shirt that has a yellow star on it, and there's somebody
I
like,
saw that too.
yeah, there's somebody tackling him. Do you have any thoughts about what that is? Because I'm all like, is that a kid that's playing a crucial role in this? What is
Yeah,
going on
I
here?
remember that there were, I could be wrong because I might be thinking of something else, but I think there was casting news about that. Either it happened last fandom or was it even in fandom in general?
Oh, right
But
on.
I think it might be part of like the Atom Smasher Hawkman type of team up thing, but I could be so wrong on that.
Right on. And now that you say that, I'm trying to think of, because they did cast somebody, and I think I covered it because I think that's Bohati Samongi. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's probably not, but yeah, I should have looked that up before I started talking to you and everything. Okay, well, how did you think the concept art, and how did you think The Rock looked as Black Adam with his suit on? I mean, we didn't get to see
I
him like full on, but how do you think
I
he
thought it
looked?
looked good. Like from what we saw, I thought it would look pretty neat.
Right on. Well, I think we did get to see. Okay, so when they go in, I did think
Well,
we
we
did
did see a full suit, but it was more concept-y than anything the
for
last
sure.
time.
Yeah, I agree. We did get to see Sarah Shahi, who plays, I can't say the name because I don't want this to get flagged by YouTube, but it starts with an I, um, and cisgender there. But take out the gender. There we go. If you guys can put that together. Anyways, we can't say it because we'll get flagged. But we did get to see her going into that little thing and waking Shazam or Black Adam up. Do you remember seeing? Do you know what that crown is? Because I don't know what that is from the comic books. If it's in the comic books, I never remember it. But
I don't really know because my knowledge on this character is very small. So
right on. So she wakes him up by saying Shazam, then he wakes up and everything. Did you think it was cool when he choked that dude out and like electrocute him and barbecued him to death?
I was like, this is like, because he hyped up this thing the way that he did, and then when it was shown, I was like, yeah, this is what Shazam did. Not exactly what Shazam did, but they did something similar in terms of like, I don't want to say edginess, but like, you could tell that that's the bad guy. So I mean, I was impressed, but I was like, yeah, Shazam kind of already did this, so I was like, nothing too big, but I liked what I saw. I will say the light. I don't know. It's like the lighting, or if it was the way the scene was shot. I felt like it was pretty weird. So I don't know if it's because of post production or anything like that. But I thought it was okay. A bit iffy on the way it was handled, but still neat.
Right on. All right. Why don't we? Would you want to? Would you? What do you want to talk about next?
Did you have another thing to talk about?
I
Because I
did
feel like
Aquaman 2. Do you want to talk about Aquaman
okay,
2?
yeah, we could talk. Yeah, we could talk about that.
Okay. Or as it's called, Aquaman, the Lost Kingdom. So this movie is the movie that I'm most excited about for 2022, just because Aquaman is my absolute favorite um uh DC character. He always has been. He always
I
will
can
be.
definitely tell with your cute little Aquaman shirts and stuff.
Yeah, I love Aquaman. He's so cool. I've loved him since forever, and I always got made fun of him because people like he's so stupid. He can only talk to fish, and I was like, well, you clearly don't read Aquaman comic books because fish don't talk. Okay,
I always
and
liked the character, mostly because of Justice League Unlimited when he got introduced.
right
I don't know
on.
if you remember that.
I do. I do. I
And then he was the funniest character on Batman Brave and the Bold.
Right on. Yeah. No,
The new cartoon's pretty great too. I don't know if you've seen that, but I really like the new show.
the new Aquaman show.
Yeah.
I have not seen it. Just because dude, I'll tell you what, it's hard to get everything up in your like to do to watch everything. It's hard to watch
Yeah,
everything.
it's a fun little watch. I felt like I don't know if it's just because of my knowledge on Aquaman's a lot more than Thundercats Roar, but I feel like this crew does a good job with this kind of DC styled show, and the humor works for me, and the animation's quite fun. It just put a huge smile on my face. So yeah, Aquaman's pretty cool in my book. Definitely a fave, but like not in that top tier, but definitely somewhere up there. And like, yeah, Spectre likes this character.
Right on. So with Aquaman 2, they did show some stuff. Like one of the first things they showed him in his stealth suit. Do you like his stealth suit, that blue one?
I think it looks pretty neat. As aesthetically wise, it looks
Yeah,
pretty
me
nice.
too. There's this, they show a lot of scenes of them in this like rocky area, and there's a lot of dudes in like what looks like scuba diving suits, like old school ones. And we do see King Atlan fighting and stuff like that. And we get like what's Orin fighting these people in suits and everything. I'm very curious to see what they do there. But they just showed a lot of scenes from that, and I think it takes place on. They did show some concept art of this island. I think it takes place in that on this island. Um, was there anything in this behind the scenes thing that stood out to you?
I like the concept art of Manta.
Right on.
I like that stuff. It looked the whoever's doing these concept arts, they're doing a really good job.
Right on. Yeah, speaking of concept art, there is one shot of James Wan, and he has a bunch of concept art behind him. You have no idea how long I have taken to just try to blow up those pictures and like filter out the graininess of it, because I'm all like, ooh, who's that? What's that? Like there's this thing above him, and it's got like all these, it's like a scale like my thing, and it's got these creatures in it. I was like, what is that? And I'm like, I'm tried so hard to find what it is. But yeah, the concept art, another one that they showed on there was them running through the desert, and there's like these desert creatures running after them. I don't know if you remember seeing that or whatnot, but I was like, what's that all about and everything. So I think it looks interesting. We did see Mira, or as some people are calling her, the devil. We did see her in there, and she's like punching what I believe is Black Manta's submarine. Because we did see him at the helm. How do you feel about them going back to Black Manta's original silver helmet instead of the new black one that he had in the first one?
I think it's a neat change. Both work for me, so I'm pretty happy.
Right on. Yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I think he looks great either way. I liked the one from the first movie, but I also like this one. I think he looks pretty good.
Plus, I think the Aquaman toys, I could be super wrong, but I think they had a variant toy that used the silver look.
Oh, did
So
they?
I'm not. I could be super wrong on that, but it seems like they did to me
Right
because
on.
with BVS, like all the toys for that were kind of super improv. So I'm not too shocked they did the same with Aquaman, but I wouldn't be shocked if this was for toy aesthetic purposes.
Right on. One thing I do want to say is I do, they released the very first photo of day one and everything. But it said Necris on it. And Necris is actually a city from the comic books. I researched this. I wasn't that much of a fanboy that I knew what this was, but they released but I went and looked, and it's actually a city in the comic books that it like teleports from different place to different place, and it only shows up, I think it said every 10 years or something like that, or 100 years. And I think that's what it is. So I'm quite
That seems
excited
like
to.
that, considering how the last film did like locations and lore concepts. I wouldn't be shocked if that shows up here in this movie.
Right on. All right. Do you want to now talk about the League of Super Pets?
Yes.
Okay.
So what did you think?
I will be honest with you. I'm not impressed with this Super Pets thing. And the reason why I think I'm not impressed is just because, okay, so you have these Super Pets, and but they're not like the original ones. Like the dog Crypto looks fine, and but the Batman dog, what's his name, Ace, he
Ace.
looks, I don't know, he doesn't look that, like, I don't know. And then in there they've got, like, you know Crypto and Ace and everything, and I think they're going way comedy. And then they've got like a pig, a turtle, and a squirrel. Are those the Super Friends pets?
No.
No, those are just random animals.
Now, they could be pets from other league members that are super obscure that I can't really think of, and I would not be super shocked if that was the case, considering the fact that the movie is one of the crew members worked on the Lego Batman movie, and that movie had so many Easter eggs and references that were super deep cut. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case for those characters, or they're kind of like more so referencing the cartoon, which I grew up on, Crypto the Super Dog, which I really like. I wouldn't be shocked if those are like random kids' pets and Crypto and Ace just happen to know them and they're not part of the league at all. So I wouldn't be shocked with that one.
Right on. How do you feel about Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson voicing these characters?
Dwayne fits the way it wasn't the ideal image for me, just mostly because of the old cartoon and how that Crypto sounded, but the way the animation was used and how Dwayne's using his voice, it fits. I was not for Kevin when it was casted, but the way he's using his voice, it fits. Not ideal, but it works.
Yeah, see, I don't like Kevin Hart as Ace. I don't like him. I just feel like Batman's dog should
It should
have,
be voiced by, like, I don't know, like Jason Momoa or
yeah,
someone a
somebody with
little
like a
bit.
deeper voice that's all like, "Hey, how are
Yeah,
you?"
exactly, because that's how Ace is always portrayed. So
Yeah, and so I mean, like, like, I'm fine with the comedy of it, but I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I don't hate it, but at the same time, I'm all like, right now, I need to see a trailer, which they're gonna start. They said at the end of this thing, they start. What do they say? Like the
in November
in
sometime.
November, yeah, the trailer thing in November. So I was like, all right, well, why don't I wait until November to give it my either blessing or my
And like for
damnation.
me, because everyone was dragging it, and I was in. If you know my channel, I'm very pro comedic animated movies, and I give these movies a pretty fair chance when people normally don't really do that. And when I was watching the trailer, I was like, yeah, doing this type of joke, it's not really look. You're pretty much on shaky ground and are kind of confirming that, yeah, comedic animated movies, they're kind of paint by numbers when you look at a joke that was used in the teaser trailer. So I was like, yeah, this movie's kind of on shaky ground. The animation looks nice and the voices are decent and okay so far, and that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm still excited, mostly because I liked Crypto the Super Dog, the TV show. So there's that. Also, I kind of hope WB isn't putting too much money on that. Like, it's gonna work in some shape or form. It's gonna get somewhat of money back, but I hope they're not putting too many eggs into this basket, considering the fact that a video game was announced like right after the trailer was announced.
Oh, right on. All right. And then what was the last thing you wanted to talk about, friend?
Okay, so DC Superhero Girls versus Teen Titans Go, the movie.
Right on. Now I will be honest with you, I didn't see this because I that must have been
What
um
happened was, because you're watching the adult fandom, they pretty much glossed over this. This was like, here's a bunch of movies that are coming out. This movie, a Green Lantern movie, and this. Stay tuned. And that's how it was announced. But at Kid Fandom, they showed a clip, and that was it.
Gotcha. I do have to say, I do really like the DC Superhero Girls, that TV show. Teen
Yeah.
Titans for me is okay. Like I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like, oh my God, it's on, let's watch it. But DC Superhero Girls, whenever my daughter, she doesn't, I'll be like, what do you want to watch? And then, I'll turn on the Netflix. I'll be like, oh, hey, let's watch Superhero Girls and everything. I'll immediately go to that because I actually do enjoy watching that show when I do watch it.
Yeah, that show's very fun. Because both of us, we were around the time the 2016 version was around, and both of these are like pretty good. The 2016-15 version was like a short on YouTube, and then they'll have random straight to DVD films, but both of these are pretty good. I would say I do enjoy the 2019 version like a lot more. And I think that's just mostly because it's a comedy, and also the fact that the references are pretty good. So like they'll throw in something that you'll get, and then your daughter will learn what it is. So it's a fun experience for the whole family.
Right on. I agree. It's really fun. I do enjoy it.
And then
Oh,
Teen Titans Go for me, um, I enjoy. It's a guilty pleasure for me.
oh,
Not
for sure.
all of it works, but when it works, it's pretty hilarious. I will say I'm kind of shocked that this is what they planned for a DC Superhero Girls movie. I was definitely expecting it to be more so DC Superhero Girls related, but I get why they chose Teen Titans Go for it to be a multiverse movie. So I get why they chose it. In the clip, they joke about the fact that the DC superhero girls in this one, they don't know who the version of Teen Titans Go is, but for Teen Titans Go, they've had like I think maybe 2 to 3 crossovers, and they joke about the fact that so when we're on your show, you don't know who we are, but when we're on our show, you know who we are.
That's so funny. I'll have to, now that you've said it, I'll have to go and I'll have to watch it and everything.
One
All
interesting
right.
thing is a lot of people who watch Teen Titans Go notice this. They used a lot of season one art for the Titans, so I don't know if
Hmm.
this was placeholder animation or they really like using those season one storyboard styles of animating the Titans. So I'm very curious to see what it looks like in the finalized version, if they're actually going back to those boards or not.
Right on. That will be interesting to see what they do with that. Um, yeah, like I said, I did enjoy, Teen Titans when I watched it. I just didn't, you know, uh, like try to go looking for it kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a fun little episodic cartoon. You could jump in whenever. So
For sure. For sure. Was there anything else from DC fandom you wanted to talk about?
no, that was it.
Right on. Do you think if they continue doing these DC fandoms, you'll tune in, or do you think that they should just like once 2022 rolls around, people are going to be like, hey, I want to get back to Comic-Con and see stuff there, or do you think they're going to
I feel like
continue?
what's going to happen is when things go back to normalcy, I think they'll keep this around, but on a much smaller scale. I think more so it'll be probably for like I like for example, like the way that they handled the panel for Supergirl's finale, like that felt very much like something you would find on a DVD extra than anything. And I feel like they're probably just going to use it as a like kind of like a interview dumping ground mixed with exclusive stuff, but not too exclusive, but something like straight to DVD where that's not going to be at a Comic-Con panel. So I think it'll just be for smaller scale stuff. I know kids fandom's gonna be they're gonna keep that one around, and the way that they handle it's pretty fun. Um, like for like when you watch the kids fandom, it'll be like here's a cool new announcement, and then they'll go here's Jaime Reyes, here's a backstory and everything, so you know who this character is. And I thought, while I know what it is, it's fun for kids, and they make it fun for adults too. So I feel like kids fandom's gonna be around for a much longer time, considering HBO Max and Cartoon Network's partnership. Plus, they have DC shows. So I would say it would, for kids it's going to last longer. Adults it's going to be much smaller scale.
Right on. Well, I have nothing else to say about DC Fandome. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with DC Fandome?
No, that was it.
All right. I always enjoy having these conversations with you.
Yes, definitely.
All right, you guys, thanks so much for joining us and listening to us. We always enjoy having these conversations with you guys also. We're gonna keep doing this on like a regular basis. We haven't got everything all planned out. We're still trying to get it together. This was just a test run for us and everything. But we do hope you do enjoy it and want more. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, you guys.